welcome to another episode of the Orbital Drop Pod, a Halo Flashpoint podcast. I'm your host, Matt. I am joined by my good friend and fellow Helljumper, Randy, and we've had some news while we were in our pods. Some news came by on our feeds, and I think we're going to talk about it today. How are you doing, Randy?
Good. Those Banished are coming in hot.
They're beating us. They're actually beating us to the deployment zone. So, unfortunately for us, Orbital Drop shock troopers, but hopefully our time will come. We'll get out of these pods. But we've also had, since our last episode, the app, the Halo Flashpoint app has been released. So I think we're going to talk about those two things, maybe a little other stuff thrown in along the way. But first we're going to go to the app. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm sorry for all of you on audio, but we have the app. It's a web app, so it is not. I know some people think app; they think Apple iPhone phone app.
Store, yeah.
But it is not an app store, but it is a web app, and there are ways for you to get it as an app on your home screen or page of your phone if you really want to do that. I'm sure you can look that up. That's what I've done on my phone. But yeah, it's cool. It's got a learn to play. It's got the rules. It's got force building. It's got an events browser, and it's got where you can set up your own tournaments and events. So it's really a pretty neat web app. It's probably more than really I was expecting as far as having all the events. It has a ranking. It has the rules. So it's just a really, really slick deal. You can go over the whole rules. There is a subscription for the full experience of the app. I think it's $1.17 for a time.
I think during the beta period, which is a few months. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's another thing. It is a beta, so they are looking for feedback, which is good. I haven't had really any big problems with it. I feel like it's pretty good for what they're what they're doing. And it's got a lot of cool stuff. It's got scenarios. The new scenarios are added in here. It's got the advanced fire team rules. Obviously, if we back up here, we will get into the Force Orb Builder, which I think is what everybody's really excited about. As you can see, I've built a couple of lists here at this point. It's just been really fun to do. I think I don't always love the way the builder works as far as how many menus I have to click through to get to stuff. I kind of would like it maybe more if it was all on one page where I could pick my Spartan and then add things. I know that extra weapons and items are not tied to specific Spartans. Even, that's something you assign to your Spartan before the game. I think most people probably have a Spartan in mind or an elite in mind when they're picking a certain thing, but you have a flexibility to make changes within the game. So that's kind of a separate deal. You can kind of select knife or no knife, or dagger or no dagger on the menu, or you can delete Spartans from here, but it would be kind of cool if you could, from this menu, kind of drag and drop stuff. So at least on the mobile phone. I know on the web app, it's kind of split into two pages. So it does work better on a desktop than on a mobile phone. But what do you think, Randy?
Yeah, I think what you said makes sense. Like, I definitely see why they did the extra upgrades that way, but I think people would appreciate having that option of like, this will be my typical loadout. There's definitely a sacrifice in easeability for organization, I think. Like you're talking about with all the extra clicks, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you get all the icons off your desktop and put them into folders, like everything's way more organized now, but now you got to click a lot more to get to everything. But I think that's probably good for the future as more stuff's getting added in. I think we'll be grateful that it'll be well sorted. And I could see like those menus probably even having more layers, like it'll be Spartans and ODSTs, and then you'd expand those.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the difference from other builders we've seen is that there's just there's a lot of upgrades that can go on all those guys. Um, so like it's harder to just have like little drop downs under each unit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I think if you use it for a little bit, you'll get used to it, and it works pretty good. And it's nice being able to have all these lists you can save. Your list screen looks a lot like my list screen.
Yeah.
I might have a little more creative names than aimbot, but
Hey, I like that list. I like that list. So here we go.
I'm sure the lists are great.
Got 2 threat sensors. So anyway, yeah, just seeing through the walls. But yeah, no, it's cool.
I'm happy with the list builder part of it for sure.
So I guess kind of hand to hand at this. What so far is your favorite or maybe a go-to build or loadout?
Oh man. So when I do games like this, I like pick a narrow lane and I'm going to deep dive this lane so hard until I feel like I've explored every nook and cranny.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I've been doing, like, only lists that have brawlers in them. Not for brawlers, but it's like what are all the different kind of combinations I can find. Um just just to see. And then, eventually I'll move on to something else, but that's kind of been like the thing this is gonna be my measuring goalpost for things. So
Okay.
I'm really enjoying a brawler with a hammer. Um for sure. Um I know I've talked about it before. Frag is not my favorite keyword, but you better be using it because it gives you so much more control.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the grenade launcher Gungnir. Um, Man, that guy does work. The 2 weapon profiles for either draining the shields or doing more damage, so effective. Being able to shoot without the line of sight. Still crazy to me that it's not a harder test,
Mm-hmm.
but definitely going to use it while it's not. So, but that might also be like a map building thing where we need to find more ways to build maps with like overhangs, so like you can actually hide.
Mm-hmm.
Because I
Yeah.
mean, I think the Spartan terrain, like, there's not really that option unless you kind of get creative with like the terrain crates or whatever, and
Yeah.
kind of stack 2 on top of each other. But
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And then I think organized play is using 2 recon. So we're not having the taller tower that's in the Spartan edition, so there's less height. I mean, I think it does make balanced maps, which I think overall is probably good, but it would be nice to have more verticality. I know on the King of the Hill latest organized play, they kind of make a hill in the middle with 3 of those bigger boxes, the 2 square kind of crates that makes a height to like a large hill in the middle, which I think is really cool. So it's good. I think the Banished train has some overhangs. I think that'll be interesting. It'll be some frag denial, so it'll be cool. And then there's still that fearless keyword out there where they don't get pinned for the frag. Someone's getting that. Chief has stoic. If you really just hate frag, hate pinning, he's your guy. For me, uh, the Mark 7 with the knife for 44 points always seems like it finds its way into my lists.
I don't think you can go wrong with the Mark 7, man. He's just like, I feel like in games like this, there's the all arounder, and they're
Mhm.
either the all arounder because they suck, or they're the all arounder because, yeah, they're pretty good at everything. And he's definitely on the latter side for sure.
Yep. Nope. And he's got that fight for, shoot for. Has rapid fire with the
Tactician.
assault rifle. Tactician. You can give him the knife. He has some armor. Give him a grapple shot. He's got a little mobility. That's 47 points for a pretty much basically a complete unit. Other than frag or knockback, it has everything you'd ever want. So I think it's tough for me to not bring at least one of those in the list I'm building. Even if I'm trying something else, I'm using that as like a baseline, kind of a staple part of the list to make it work, because I feel like you need at least 2 or 3 tactician, because those dice, the extra dice, are just so powerful. Especially if you have some kind of focus piece, it's good to get them the dice. So that's kind of where I've been. All my lists seem like they start, or at least include, one of those Mark 7 assault rifles with the knife. So, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff I like that everybody. I think Gungnir's gotten a lot of hype. I want to try to mess with it with a long weapon. Our options are kind of limited on that, and they are all kind of expensive. But I think it's worth something, maybe worth playing too. With the Banished information coming out, maybe as we'll find out how tough they are. They've been described as difficult to kill, so maybe the Spartan laser will be a good investment. So, but yeah, overall, love the app. Really excited. This has exponentially increased the amount of time I've spent building lists in the game. It's something you can do. I'm at lunch or something. I can play with the app on my phone, build a couple lists, or tweak one I already have. Kind of look at stuff. So it's been really good. Excited. It's only going to get better the more stuff that's added to the game. So very exciting.
Yeah. So for me, I would say the only, not even critique, 'cause it's still a beta. I hope they add more searchable key terms. Like I would like to be able to search an item by the item name and not have to like, I feel like a lot of it's keyed off the headings from the rules index, which I don't have that in my brain. And sometimes I just want to be able to type in frag and it takes me to like the shoot test rules for frag or explosive. And I think it's not quite there yet, but I think that's something they're going to tune up as they move towards full rollout of this thing. Um, but yeah, that I just noticed. I didn't even realize there was that view on the last page that showed like the table of contents like that,
Oh
which
yeah.
which might be a lot easier than actually using the search right now.
Yep. So I like that because if you have the list, and you scroll down, it'll like give you all the keywords that your list has in it too,
Yeah.
which is really nice. And it also, so the red text is the update for the errata, for frag, or for sticky in particular. So it's pretty cool. One complaint I would have, tiny complaint, when you put an item on your list and you're looking at it here, like it doesn't, if you hover these or anything, it doesn't tell you what the item does. So when you're on your phone, you have half of this available. So then I have to go to the other screen, pull up what the item is, hit this menu and go look. Actually, it doesn't even describe the items at all. You just have to know what the items are at this point.
Yeah.
So
Does it put it, and it doesn't put it down below because that's just keywords.
yes.
So maybe that would be good if they like added your equipped items as descriptors there.
Yeah. So it's just, I don't have the, I mean, I can look up what the items do. I have my book, but it's, not readily available here. So it is, a little bit more tedious to kind of look. The weapons is another complaint. You have to go to this other screen to see what the weapon keywords are, even if you have a weapon equipped over here on the right. That's not a big deal, really, honestly. I'm used to it at this point already. So it's just, something that could be maybe a little more quality of life.
And that's like something that's going to help new players, I think, because I mean, like we know what a grapple shot and thruster does,
Yeah.
right? But some of the less used stuff, I may not know everything for.
Yeah.
So, like,
Understandable.
I don't know if I could tell you everything exactly the drop wall does just off the dome. So,
Yep, definitely. So maybe more text. I don't know how much of that is trying to, demarcate paid and free. Like if it's the same, they don't want that information being available if you're not paying. But I am paying, so maybe let me look at it. But you touched earlier on your favorite unit being the brawler. Hello, and welcome again to episode 2 of Two Sticks and a Rock, and we had to share the rock. a podcast within a Halo podcast. I'm once again your host, Matt. I'm joined again by my special guest, Randy. And I have a question for you.
How does this keep happening to me?
You keep getting ambushed. The Brawler.
Yes.
Hits on threes. Pinnacle of
Yes.
melee. Then Cerberus and War Games comes out. Enters the CQB Spartan. One of them already has a hammer. One of them has a sword. Do you prefer the Brawler with a hammer or the CQB with a hammer?
Okay. So I need to play the CQB more, but I mean, it would be hard to overlook a dude whose armor kit is called Close Quarters Battle Armor.
Mm-hmm.
There's no questioning that he is definitely the tankier one in melee. And I think with the hammer on a brawler, he comes out to be like a couple more points, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to that, I say I really enjoy playing with grapple shots and thrusters. And I think those are necessary. At least one of those is probably necessary on the CQB. But with the brawler, you can really fly across the map, like getting the 4 or 5 squares if you have thruster and a grapple
Mm-hmm.
shot. Because just if you don't know, the CQB's got the 1 cube advance versus the 2 on the brawler. And then I also like that the brawler's got the save on 5s against ranged attacks. The save on 6 and armor probably could possibly work out to be better. I don't know, but I just like the brawler right now, but I need to play the CQB more. I think I just made a list today with 2 brawlers and a CQB in it.
That's nuts.
Yeah, and I think I'm
where did the grapple shots go? Where did the grapple shots go on 2 brawlers?
The CQB is going to get one, and one of the brawlers is going to get the. So it'll have 2 hammers.
Okay.
One of the brawlers just has a knife. So he'll run around and he'll pick up whatever melee weapon drops on a weapon spawn is the goal.
Yeah, I was watching you play a game on tabletop, and your opponent just kind of found a hammer on top of everything else. So yeah, that's something that can happen. So, you know.
Yeah. I rolled the recontest to get a weapon spawn, and I got to put it out, and it was a hammer. So both my brawlers had hammers.
Yeah.
At the very beginning, so that was pretty fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, okay. I think if I could get around the 1 speed advance, I think I could confidently say CQB would be my preferred on this. But that is a little bit of a limiting factor. I think you're kind of locking yourself into a sprint first action if you're trying to engage someone. And then maybe once you're in, maybe the 1 cube advance isn't that bad. Maybe you assault someone, knock them back, 1 cube advance into him, assault him again. But I do think the hammer is better than the sword. That's why I didn't talk about the sword. I think the sword's more killy, but I think the knockback and the juggling, and then even you could Spartan snapshot a ranged attack with the hammer, knock them back out of your square. So
strong on strongholds.
Mm-hmm.
You can hit the flag carrier backwards.
Yep.
Energy cores. Yeah, it's just got so much more objective play.
Yep. You catch the enemy flag carrier, you can kind of juggle him back toward away from your flag. So
yeah, slam him into a wall, try and pin him. Yeah.
Yep. No, it's. I think it's more versatile. If in Slayer you probably want the sword. So I guess Slayer, attrition,
or that. Yeah, attrition. Yeah.
I think that'd probably be maybe. I'd say maybe oddball, but it would. I think this hammer is still really good on oddball, so that's probably not as big of a wash. But I think sometimes it would be good to actually just kill the carrier if you don't have a rapid fire target on him.
It might be better in the organized play re-release of Oddball, right? Because you can't
Mhm.
just
Frag them.
pin them.
Yeah, frag pin
But
'em.
it's also respawning in the middle.
Mhm.
So, which may not be great if you can only advance speed one.
Yeah, I
Um,
think there is some limitations. I would assume most of the time if you need to get somewhere, you're probably just sprinting around the map and then using advanced dice if you need to do kind of follow up or maybe assault dice. So,
I mean, that's kind of the issue we've had with the Svezda, right? And that is a ranged unit,
mhm.
much less a melee unit that's got the one cube advance. Does the CQB have the scout or no?
It does not know.
Okay. Yeah, that's tough.
Yep. I
That's
think
tough.
you're doing either thruster or grapple shot. I mean, grapple shot is better than thruster, but a lot of times you're taking 2 grapple shots already. If you have 2 melee units, you probably want to give them both grapple shots, and then you're looking at maybe doing the thruster because you can't give somebody 2 grapple shots.
That's right.
So I would if I could. So some people sometimes do the grapple shot and the thruster. They'll do the sprint. They'll thrust the sprint to 4, and then they'll grapple shot in for 5. Maybe they have an advanced dice, so you could get to 6, which is if they've advanced 1 cube, you can get to them. Terrain willing, terrain dependent. You can probably get to them. So that's quite a large threat range. So then once you're in there, maybe the 1 cube advance isn't that bad of a deal.
I'm also curious how tanky the CQB is. I know there's a lot of debate sometimes on some of the objectives on whether it's actually the right move to kill a unit in certain situations. So I don't know if that's good for you then, if you want them to stick around. And I mean, one of the biggest weaknesses of getting respawned is that a lot of those objectives are near the middle and you can't get to them in a
Mhm.
single sprint.
Yep.
Even with a single extra move item, some are still out of reach. So that's got to be fairly devastating for CQB having to respawn on certain objectives.
Yeah, and then
Um,
they're forced to take that 1 cube advance when they spawn in, so they're kind of just
oh
stuck.
yeah,
They're really stuck.
yeah,
I think their plan is to not die.
yeah. So I don't know if movement's the best. Maybe it's bring the hard light shield to like
Yeah.
try to stick around even more, so you're stay stuck in there. But
Mhm. Yep. The hard light shield I think would be a good option just because how difficult with armor for 5 health, an extra dice in melee. It'd be pretty much unless you have an energy sword or is getting shot with a Spartan laser. Armor is definitely taking you know, a lot of hits off the top every time. So,
yeah,
well, that's a good discussion. This has been episode 2 of Two Sticks in a Rock, and we had to share the rock. I'm Matt, this is Randy, and we're back to the normal podcast.
whoa,
Whoa, we're
where do we
racking our
go?
pods.
We briefly entered a micro Dyson sphere, and
Yeah,
they forced us to podcast.
that keeps happening. I just don't know. I don't know what's going on. But we've talked about the app. The other big news that just came hot off the presses as of today, as of recording, we have an article about the Banished. Hey, this is future Matt. So turns out more articles came out in the consecutive days after this recording. So we are gonna circle back and we're gonna talk about all of it. Hopefully,
Let's try this again.
yeah. So we're gonna actually just release this tomorrow. So I hopefully you guys don't release anything on Friday. But okay. So first article is talking about the Jirohane, talking about the brutes. It's kind of an overview. It goes into kind of base what the brutes kind of are about, and then it kind of goes into a little quick tease over every unit that will be in the Rise of the Banished box. Uh, Previously, we had talked about, hey, maybe there'll be a card. I think there is a card in here somewhere. I'll have to dig up the article, but we did see a card for one of the brute snipers. So
Yeah. Man, that terrain.
Yeah, I'm really digging the terrain.
I'm glad there's some overhang. They've heard my
Mm-hmm.
my grenade no line of sight or yeah,
Yep.
woes or whatever,
Yep.
so I like that they're incorporating that.
Yep. No, I think it's really good. Now it depends on you. Will have to maybe work. I don't know if you're playing a lot of brutes in your future, but I think you could probably fit Spartan under there for sure. So,
Oh yeah, I mean they're shorter than the brutes, so
so pretty cool. I think it'll be good. But brutes overview, it's like, hey, what are the 4 things you need to know? I'm just going to go read through them, and then we'll kind of talk about it. First, Banished are durable, hard hitting, easily fielding teams up to 5 in games of 200 points. That's number 1. Number 2, they're intimidating in close combat and can both kill and survive effectively. Number 3, they have shorter movement than Spartans and therefore benefit heavily from movement-based items like thruster or grapple shot. 4, Jirohane in particular have higher health points, parentheses, but don't have shields on every unit. They will often stick around on the tabletop, especially if they're in close combat. That's a lot. I feel like that's a lot of info. Now that we've seen this sniper brute, we kind of know where he's at. It's 5 health, no armor. Was it 1 or 2 shields? I think it was 2 shields. And
yeah, I think he had 2.
so, but no armor, 5 health, had the knockback, had the imposing, and had it.
And we know either I think it's the berserker does not have any shields.
Yes. So it's interesting to know which ones. Some have shields, some don't. They're going to be durable. They're going to be good in melee. They're going to have the imposing. They're going to have knockback. Close combat.
Point 3 cracks me up because it's like who's not better with a thruster and a grapple shot?
Yeah, I think a lot of things most people are bringing. I think 2 grapple shots, super, super common thing to see in a lot of lists. A
Mhm.
lot of some units, I guess, are doing grapple shot and thruster, so they get their extra move, they get the grapple, so they can potentially, if they're a speed 3 sprint, that's 5 squares they can cover, which is most of the map. So yeah, a slow unit's going to love thruster and grapple shot, so you're going to get your points there. Now you'll only be able to take 2 of each, but something to keep in mind. They go into the various classes now of the brutes. There's the warrior. There's 2 different warriors. There's the regular warrior, has a commando spike grenade. There's the chosen warrior, which has tactician, which is big for banished. Tactician has a sentinel beam, so that's good against shields. They're also good in melee. Obviously, they're
And that's new, right? This
yeah.
will be the first
Mm-hmm.
Sentinel beam in the
Mm-hmm.
game. Okay.
That is new, and there's some obvious synergy there with a shield stripping weapon and a strong melee unit. You can do
Yeah,
your
for sure.
strip the shields, run up. You've got imposing. You've got knockback. You're strong in melee. So that's on an assault with, imposing. That's, probably smash too. So, 7 dice.
I'm
So,
kind of excited for that for shotgun Spartans
hmm hmm
because something with a little range to strip and then
yep.
actually be able to punch through. So
Yep. And if low to no armor is a recurring thing as well, then lethal will be big. Obviously, if they're
absolutely.
charging knockback on something like a shotgun, like a bulldog or a M45, would be big. They talk about health packs or some kind of launcher weapon, so they're not going to be necessarily a great shooting unit. I assume 5 probably 5 shoot 5 or worse. Seems
And then
about right.
sniper was a 4, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Sniper's a 4.
I can't imagine that the rest will be as good as the guy called the sniper.
Yes. So that's kind of where we're at, and that makes sense. If they're more of a melee oriented force, they're not going to be as good as shooting. The Jirohane snipers, there's 2 different ones. These are the ones with the shields. There's the Mangler and Skewer, or the Shock Rifle and Disruptor. The Mangler and the Skewer, we don't know what they do at all. Though I know the Skewer is supposedly a long weapon with high armor pen. So probably pretty deadly. They're talking about pinning CQBs, so that's at least AP3. The shock rifle, we know what that is. It is also a long weapon. It's got ESD2. It's got AP1. They're adding blast, apparently. I don't know if that's taking away from suppression as a keyword suppressive, or they're just adding blast as well as suppressive. Either way, still good. The berserkers, there's two different ones. There's the shielded berserker with the spike grenade, unshielded with the dynamo. Talk about the cheapness of these units, which I think is something I forgot to mention earlier with the warrior, is that the warrior is cheaper than the cheapest Spartan. So sub 35. These are cheaper than the warrior, so sub 34.
These are like the brutes equivalent of Hazops, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. So
I could see these guys having a 6 shoot. I mean, they're coming with grenades, so they don't need a high shoot for frag. It makes sense.
I can see that, and they have their little gauntlet things, so they're probably not here really to shoot.
Yeah,
I'm very intrigued. The price point for these will be, kind of really important to list building in general, especially if you're building maybe with elites. You're trying to do some double sword, put some toys on them. Maybe these guys are 30-ish points. That really opens up a lot of space compared to where we are now. But it'll be good to see where they're at, and I mean, we don't know more than we know at this point. The next two are the Jirhanic captains. These are kind of the elite guys in this pack. They said they have higher shields, they have tactician, they have better armor, they have more health. So maybe more than 5 health, maybe 6, 7 health.
I could say 6.
Yeah,
I feel like 7. We're getting into Atriox territory.
Yeah, but 6 with an armor value is that's a lot of wounds. So
tanky boys, yeah.
So you might be hitting them. You're probably not going to be putting them down unless you have a really big hit. They have jump packs, so I'm assuming that that's its own keyword. It's in the core rulebook.
I think they can clear the half cube terrain without a speed
I think
reduction.
they can clear gaps too. I think it's similar to flight. I don't think it's exactly the same.
Yeah, I think it might just be like single cube gaps or something like that.
Yeah. They're versatile. Look like they have a couple weapons. The Ravager has a melee profile similar to the spike rifle, which I really like the spike rifle. I think it would be really stronger if it wasn't on the Hazop. Now the Hazop is for 36 points, it's a nice kind of complete package. It has pin, has knockback, has a melee profile. It's not going to necessarily win you a game, but it's a good all-around filler unit that kind of can do all the things, can do some things you need to do and not necessarily break the bank. They talk about thrusters, adding more speed, hard light shield, making the armor rating tougher. So, very interesting.
Yeah.
And this was an article from the rules committee, so they've been playing with this stuff, so they probably are kind of giving us little tidbits of probably what they've been doing.
I think the Ravager's cool too. It's talking about immolating a cube, so being able to maybe put some kind of trap in a cube. I'm also kind of curious if the spike grenades might work like that as well. I know you had theorized that it possibly might have a directional knockback, like you can kind of choose. So I'm curious to see what that does as well. But yeah, I like the Ravager possibly creating some hazard to help corral these ranged units away, or just even maybe get a Deadeye out of its perch.
Yep. No, for sure. And you could maybe run 2 of these, and then that's double up your area denial. There's maybe light the objective on fire if you're not going to make it that turn. Stuff like that. So, very cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
New ways to play. I don't know if lighting a cube on fire is going to pin someone. It would make sense to me, maybe. But
Or maybe you can light it on fire and then shoot dice, pin them or something in that cube. That'd
Yeah,
be probably brutal.
maybe make him leave. I don't know. New keyword. I'm sure
Yeah.
it's going to be in the Defiance book. So interesting. A lot of speculation. So that's the first article. Then we got the next day an article about Atriox.
This was the one where we're like, okay, maybe we need to re-record part of this.
Yep. So broad strokes. Atriox. They say he's this straight up, he's the deadliest melee combatant in Halo. So
Just saying a lot.
previously, I'd say that title went to Chief. And I think we all know how potentially deadly Chief can be comboing dice with one-man army. So if they are saying that he is just more deadly in melee than Chief, the guy who can potentially sword you 3 or 4 times in a turn if he needs to, that is pretty scary.
I'm hoping it works out that Atriox is like the deadliest in melee, but Chief has the most melee still. Like he can hit the most different targets, but like Atriox is going to like still like he's going to be able to one shot CQBs or something like that.
Yeah, that maybe. I mean, I'm assuming he won't have one-man army, so he'll have some other perk.
Wreck face.
Yeah, murder, ambush everyone.
His weapon is like a chain hammer, right? Like it has some range on it.
And they're talking about him having 2 different melee weapons. So he'll have Chainbreaker and he'll have his cool Power Gauntlet. So
okay.
He also has a special order previously mentioned. It's called Defiance, and it will make your Banished less susceptible to losing actions by frag and rapid fire, which is a direct, that's saying pin. So it's going to make your army better against pins, which is 1, good for the game. 2, probably good for brutes because they're slow. So love that.
I wonder if that's going to be like spend the special order. They get to like kip up from the ground for free or something.
Yeah, that'd make a lot of sense, right? Or spend a special order, and maybe the next time somebody tries to pin you doesn't work. But that would just discourage pins completely. Yeah, I'd assume it'd be something like you're saying. It might just remove that pin token, or maybe remove everybody's pin token, or remove pin tokens within a certain distance. I don't know, something like that. Gonna make it better against pins, which is good. I think frag is and pinning is pretty common. So maybe stuff that is counter to that will make it less common. So, and maybe some other stuff we're going to talk about here in a little bit. They talk about his melee. His points are going to be similar to the Master Chief. Grapple Shot and Thruster be good on him. Again, Grapple Shot and Thruster is good on everybody. Active Camouflage on him, they said maybe is a thing.
I mean, it fits him so good, right? It's like, surprise, Atriox.
He gets the jump on everyone. That was what we had talked about. He did the special order where he just jumps somebody. He appears because he got the jump on Red Team. He got the jump on Chief. Famously, I think most people have seen that cutscene. So they talk about maybe.
Yeah, that was like in the original like teaser trailer for Atriox, right? They put that clip in there.
I don't know how a dude so big can be so sneaky. Maybe he's got really soft footsteps. I don't know.
It's like Beverly Hills Ninja.
Maybe giving him a cheap range weapon, but they're saying he's a melee focused. So all you melee people out there, like this is it. This is your guy. They say he's good at holding down points. I imagine that is the case. They're talking about King of the Hill. He has Fearless, so he's immune to being pinned, and he can crouch. I don't know if he necessarily wants to crouch, but he can. So can't pin him.
I could see Trainbreaker having like a directional knockback situation kind of thing, like him controlling where he wants to send you out of a cube.
Yep. There is the new keyword concussive. We don't know what that does. Sounds like it's good in melee. So they said he's good on Slayer, Oddball, King of the Hill. I'm assuming with Legends in general, Slayer's going to be a good objective just because of, their raw power killing potential. Oddball as well. I think that makes sense if he can prevent or limit pins in some way. It's going to be hard to make them drop the oddball, even in the OP oddball scenario where the rapid fire is the only way to make someone drop the oddball. Maybe
Yeah.
counter that still. So
I feel like if you're good at King of the Hill, would you not be good at Strongholds? Or maybe the speed is the issue there for them.
I think King of the Hill is more, the hill moves. So there's only one hill. I just think it sounds like he's so good at controlling a point and is so dangerous in melee that he can maybe get to that
Lock
spot
it down.
and then
Yeah.
lock it down. And you can't pin him. Maybe you can knock him back. I don't know. But it just sounds like he's just a tough out, tough guy to get rid of. So
Yeah.
anyway, talk a little bit more about the Rise of the Banished box. Talk about potential price increases, which you never know with political situation. We might have just gotten rid of tariffs the other day. Who knows? But either way, that's Atriox. We kind of go into a what's in the box.
What's in the
What's in
box?
the box for Halo Flashpoint? And the answer is there's a lot of stuff in the box. They show all the individual releases that kind of showed up on the web store. And they say, hey, all of this in the box. And it's, roughly 125, 130 USD if you order before June 1st. This will be coming out on May 30th. So get it while you can. Recommend.
I think if you are not interested in playing brutes at all, I still think you might want to get into this terrain. It looks really good. Like for the cardboard stock terrain stuff they're doing, it would look good in the Spartan edition, but like this brute terrain, I feel like they took another step up. And those red dice just look so clean.
Yeah. Yeah. The Defiance expansion, too. Maybe if you really just don't. Well, I guess the ultimate cheap way to get the Defiance expansion, which they said will have important details, it's probably either if you want the models, buy that box, or you can buy the PDF online through the app.
And I think if you have the app subscription, you would have access to all that content anyways.
Yes, so that's the way on the budget. So you're not necessarily missing out on any rules. It's got the cool game board, like in the Spartan edition, which I really enjoy as far as coming with the game. It's a super quality. I'm probably going to order. I think I'm going to do a table for this, like a tournament setup table. They talked about having tournament lineups for the Banished box. I'm going to get the neoprene, buy some more terrain, make this happen, get a table set up. The dice look really nice. It comes with another copy of Sangheili Mercenaries, which is great for me. I need him a second one. The Garrison terrain. So if you buy these separately, you're spending a lot more money. So if you're looking to get one, maybe get two.
Bundle, yo.
Good deal. So, and also you get the limited edition Atriox Mini, which there's a different one. I think he also looks pretty cool. And
Yeah, I think you're always gonna get an Atriox with this box, but it won't always be that pose.
yes, it's an alternate pose.
Yeah.
There's an alternate pose Atriox that is holding the hammer differently. I think he's pointing. So, if you want
It's
both,
not holding a Spartan helmet.
yeah, he's not holding a Spartan helmet. They said, and this was funny. I think they said somewhere like, "Hey, you should paint it like your friend's Spartan helmet. If you're a Banished guy, you should paint it up like your buddy's helmet."
Absolutely. You should.
So,
Yes.
throw a little shade on your friends.
So
So,
a little quick shade.
a little quick shade, slap some contrast on there. I really think the quality of these models look better too. I think part of it is the size,
Yeah.
but the detail. I like the Spartan models. They can be sometimes you're kind of hunting for those edges of panels and stuff like that. So,
But I mean, Fireteam Phoenix, They can do it. So I'm hoping as we continue on releases, even the smaller size models, as we eventually get into jackals and grunts and stuff in the future, that they kind of go that way.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So yesterday we got an article about the Defiance expansion.
This is like when we're like, okay, yes, we definitely have to re-record this part.
Yes, so this is kind of what sent us over the edge. This comes with the Rise of the Banished. This will also be sold separately at a later date. It will be available on the app. It will be available as a PDF to purchase or download. So this is, they said it's the equivalent of basically War Games for the Spartans, but it's for the Brutes. So it will include the points for the Brutes. It'll include custom weapons, all that stuff from day one, which I think is great. We're not going to have that break-in period with these. I think we're already into that now.
Yeah.
So very cool.
I love that every release is like advancing the game as a whole too.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there's new stuff, and it's always exciting, and it's trending in a way I want it to trend.
Mm-hmm.
I think draft is great. I think it's an excellent way to get people in. If I am doing a demo with someone, obviously I do the little 2v2 demo first. And then maybe if I'm playing a game with a friend who kind of knows about it but isn't into the war games yet, I would do a draft with them. Let's pick 4 Spartans. Let's play. But
yeah,
the Defiance book, the points, the war games, that's where my real deep interest is. I think that's where a lot of the replayability comes in, some of the customization. So love that it's going that way. They clarified that the Sangheili mercenaries are part of the Banished faction, which I feel like we knew because of the Banished logo on their card and their mercenaries.
Yeah.
But just to be clear, so they're playable, mix and match with the Brutes. They talk about how some of the orders won't work in between them. I'm assuming there might be Brute specific orders. There's definitely an Aatrox specific order. I don't know how those will work.
I'm hoping that order that like helps them with pin does not work on these Sangheili mercenaries, because that might be super broken if you can't pin these sword elites.
Yes, I agree with that. as much fun as an unpinnable evade Sangheili mercenary with a thruster or
And
active camo
sword.
and a grapple sounds, they probably won't go that route. So, unfortunate for me. But, true. So, these elites are in the Banished. They talk about how there were keeps that pledged to the Banished. That's all true. That's all lore accurate. I still kind of hope there's some Arbiter sorts of Sanghelios. Maybe Covenant. I don't know how we're doing timelines.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think Covenant's coming for sure, and they gotta be in there.
So, I think it's coming. I would assume there'd be other special orders. There'd be other weapons for them, all that stuff in the Covenant or Swords of Helios or whatever they do. I'm assuming there's an Arbiter legendary hero coming.
I think they've mentioned 5 factions in the past, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, 5 is about all I can think of, and Covenant's definitely one of them.
I can't think of a Halo war game without my boy Little Grunts in some capacity. So
I want 15-point grunts that just have sticky grenades.
run with the double grenades. It's like they have like 2 turns to kill someone, or they just blow up on their own.
Yeah.
Something like that. So
It's a cook keyword.
yeah, yeah. So very cool. They talk about the Jirohane in the book, how it's introducing him, how they're talking about all the points values, all the new grenades, special orders plural, something to keep in mind. In their addition to the previous special orders, they say they have different tactics. I'm really interested to see how that plays out. Because I don't think just being slower and lots of health is a tactic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
That's not a tactic. That's just, stats. So the imposing knockback, maybe there's a lot of synergy with knockbacks, stuff like that. So very excited. Extra scenarios. This is where I saw this and my interest really peaked.
Yes.
So regular scenarios, they talk about VIP, which I think would be very fun. So you have you pick your VIP mini, and then you're trying to protect them. I'm assuming they're scoring. If you kill the VIP, might be kill the VIP 3 times. So very cool. Again, another video game mode. Is that a standard mode or is that more of a custom games?
It might have. I think it might have been one that started as a custom, but they made it official in other
Yeah.
entries.
So very fun. I can see it getting very chaotic, especially with some of the units' mobility with aforementioned thrusters and grapple shot. So
Yes, or if you have a really tanky brute chieftain that you're trying to kill.
yep. Or something throw on some threat sensors and then they can't actually hide from you and you can shoot them from
Yeah.
anyway.
I just real quick, that's like an interesting thing where you're rolling for your scenario, right?
Mhm,
Like, whereas they may not have as many varied options as some other games, since you're locked to only bring a few.
mhm,
Rolling a scenario, it's hard to make your team good at all of them. So I
yeah,
do like that.
for sure. So the big takeaway, and this is the thing that really sent us over the top, like we have to talk about this. And we haven't really talked about it yet in person or on video. Big team battles. Big team battles, Randy. This is very close to
It's
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 getting
getting there.
it's getting closer to our larger scale war game. So basically, broad strokes, and we don't know how this will affect scenarios, and we don't know if there are any restrictions on list building because stuff like reinforcements incoming is actually just broken on this mode. It doesn't work because there are no
No.
respawns.
Yeah, no respawns. There are set weapon drops. When you die, you drop your equipment, regardless of melee or ranged. I think they suggested double points, so
Mm-hmm.
you're playing around 400, and it's pretty exciting. It's sounding a lot closer to a war game. Like
I
they're
really like
stair
this.
stepping it really good.
I really like this. I don't know if this is, they talked about maybe this not being the standard tournament format. I can see myself running a big team battle event at our local very easily because this is a lot more of what I think a lot of our community is used to, playing bigger war games, playing different style war games. So I think this is really good, really exciting. They talked about having adaptive versions of the current modes and whole new scenarios. The no respawn is huge. They'll They said that some of these will be tagged. They'll tag them with elimination. I think this really is just scratching a lot of itches for me.
I'm just hoping, with these bigger teams, eventually they're going to need bigger maps, and these guys just don't run that fast, so they're going to need some things to ride around on,
Mm-hmm.
and various man cannons, teleporters, and things like that. So I mean, I'm seeing the vision that like they they've got us on the sushi conveyor belt.
Yep, for sure. What I like about this, they said this is still going to be two by two, but the deployment zones will be a little bit different. I don't
Mhm.
think this is going to necessarily take longer than the current multiplayer modes.
Yeah, I don't think so. Not if you're not respawning, unless like both of you are being incredibly cagey
Mm-hmm.
and like hiding a lot. But even then, the board's not that big.
There's not a
So
lot. I don't think there's going to be a lot of places you can hide, especially if it's an OP setup or they're doing a standard map setup or even just a well built map. There's not going to be places for you to necessarily run or hide from every angle, and that's okay. So I'm excited. I think attrition will speed this game up. This also opens up on most games that you can kind of win by, killing everyone or,
yeah,
attriting your opponent's forces down to a point where you can complete the objective. So, which is kind of more in the vein of what other war games are and kind of what we're used to, which, I like the respawn. I think it's refreshing. It's an interesting mechanic. It definitely puts a unique spin on Halo, but I do really like this. This feels familiar to me, and
I like that it seems to be trending in a way where we're gonna have both to
Mm-hmm.
play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see us doing at some point doing a big team battle event at our store. I did build a couple of big team battle lists just to play around. Obviously, if you're doubling the points, kind of rule of thumb, you could probably realistically double the model count.
Yeah, for sure.
I also had done a deal with like a chief list, and I think it was 2 Mark
What'd you get up
7s.
to? Tactician 8, 9?
You can do that. You can go that way. You can do just, marks 2 Mark 7s of both kinds, then like Gungnir's, and then I think you can get to 7 acts with Chief.
Ooh.
I settled on something with 6 acts, and I think you could definitely get some tactician dice onto Chief. You could have a very impressive one-man army turn with Chief for sure.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe put the Spartan laser on. Just throw a threat sensor on there. Just see how many times you can Spartan laser everyone.
Yeah. Oh man. What's that weapon the JFO has where it's like the orbital strike?
Oh, the target locator, target designator.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wonder if that would be fun to bring on Chief and just like double tap that at the start of a match.
Oh man, that'd be cool. You get even
That's something I need to try.
you could even throw on a threat sensor. Move with someone first. Threat sensor, then move with Chief.
And pew,
Double
pew.
orbital strike, and then continue
Yeah.
on whatever you're going to do that turn. Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Yeah.
Very cool. So big team. This
Right.
is. I didn't expect this either. This is
No, not at all.
so very.
Like I still thought we were just going to be getting the small size scenarios like an infect or something.
Now Ronnie had said that there were going to be, no respawn modes coming in interviews and around. So I was expecting no respawn modes, but I thought it'd be more like what we had.
Still 200 points.
I didn't think we were going to be doubling the models and doing no respawn modes. So very cool. I am sufficiently excited. I love it, and we have. I mean, a lot of people have the models ready, so we've had time to get ready. So I don't think it's going to make the game necessarily inaccessible.
It'll just be the poor brute guys trying to quickly paint their models up, catch up.
Yeah, that's true. So again, you have 2 days. If this the day of recording, day of release, May 30th, you have Saturday and Sunday to get this thing ordered if you want it on the reduced price. So get on that. A lot of good stuff. We're going to have a lot more stuff. I'm excited to do some brute discussion with you and play some brute games. Anything you want to add, Randy, before we get out of here?
No, I'll echo what you said. All the brute stuff looks super cool, but yeah, the new game modes, just big team battle in particular, like I was confident we were going to get there. I just did not think we were going to get there in less than a year from release. Like the cadence of expansion has been exciting, and I can't wait to have a full team of ODSTs.
Yeah, I'll say how many ODSTs.
If the name of the show didn't tip you off that we're excited for ODSTs, then let me be the first to tell you.
For sure.
I will be there day one.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
Oh, real quick.
Yes.
Join us on Discord if you'd like to chat at us about more Halo Flashpoint stuff. That'll be linked below. Share your painting.
Yeah, we have had some. We had some activity in the Forge Mode Hobby channel. I've been working on my stuff. I've got a lot more done. I know Joe has been really getting after it, posting a bunch of stuff in there. So, and I'm excited to try to kill them all tomorrow because we're meeting up to play a game. So,
yes, we'll try to record a couple little things as well while we're there. So,
yep, definitely. Sweet. So, I've been Matt. That's Randy. This is the Orbital Drop Pod. Play us when you need us.
Later.